So today we're going to talk about how to gain muscle mass as a vegan. This is a very hot topic because everyone online is discussing whether vegans can or cannot gain muscle. And we can gain muscle. And today I'm going to tell you exactly what you need to do with your training and with your nutrition to ensure that you get in the most gains. My name is Julian. I am the CEO of Jack Vegans, and we help vegans burn fat, build muscle, and look better naked. And we do this because we care about the animals. We want to reduce animal suffering in the world, and we want to avoid all the nasty consequences that come with animal farming and with fishing. With that being said, let's go ahead and jump into this topic so you can learn how to gain muscle mass as a vegan. Now let's break down what we're going to talk about today. Table of contents. So this is broken down into order of importance, in my opinion. And the first and most important variable when it comes to muscle building is your caloric intake. Yes, your caloric intake, because you need to consume calories to build muscle. The second most important point is going to be protein intake. Then we're going to talk about your training, supplementation, recovery, stress management, and finally, setting expectations. Let's go ahead and jump in with calories. A lot of people want to pursue recomposition as a goal. That means losing body fat and gaining muscle mass at the same time. And this is actually possible, but it's very rare, meaning it only happens under certain conditions. And there are three cases where this actually happens. First case is when you're a beginner. When you're just starting out with training and with nutrition, then you will get recomposition. Okay? The effect of proper dieting and proper training will be immense in your body, and your body will burn fat and start building muscle at the same time. Another case, which I didn't include here, that just came to mind is if you've been training for a while, but you've been eating very bad, meaning you haven't been following a proper plan, and you fix the nutrition, you're going to get recomposition, because the powerful effect of proper protein intake, proper calories are going to play a big role in getting recomposition. The second case when this happens is when you're coming back from an injury or from a long period of time of not training. Let's say that I stopped training for 6 months and I come back to the gym. I'm going to get a lot of recomposition at the beginning. After a certain period of time, that's going to stop, and I'm going to have to go back to the old-fashioned strategy of pursuing fat loss and muscle gain phases separately. And the last case where this happens is with enhanced individuals, meaning individuals who are taking anabolic steroids. They get recomposition as well. But just as a newbie, at some point they stop getting recomposition, and they either got to increase the dose of what they're taking or pursue these strategies separately. So why do we pursue muscle gain and fat loss separately? If you look at the nutrition that's needed for fat loss and the nutrition that's needed for muscle gain, they are completely opposite, literally opposite. One requires you to be in a caloric surplus, and the other one requires you to be in a caloric deficit. I like to say it's like trying to wash your car and dry it all at the same time. It's not going to really work. So what we do is we break down these phases and we separate them. We pursue one at a time. We pursue muscle gain and then fat loss at different periods of time. To gain muscle, you need to put yourself in a caloric surplus, meaning you got to eat more calories than the ones you burn. And those new calories are going to be turned into new contractile tissue, assuming your training is proper. I like to compare this to a skyscraper or a building. Imagine you have a skyscraper and you want to make it bigger. You want to make it bigger, you want to make it taller. What do you need to make a skyscraper bigger? You need bricks, you need cement, you need wood. Probably more things, but that's my knowledge when it comes to construction. You're going to grab those new materials and you're going to piece them together somehow, somewhere, and the building is going to get bigger. If you don't bring raw materials, then there's no way for the building to get bigger. Now you can think as the extra calories that are coming from protein, carbs, and fats as those extra raw materials. Your body's going to grab the protein, the carbs, and the fats, which are going to be like the cement, the bricks, and the wood, and is going to use them to build new muscle tissue. But you need the new materials, which are going to come from the caloric surplus. Now, it is important to say that if you're a beginner, you can get away with having a higher caloric surplus, meaning you can eat more about maintenance. But if you're an advanced individual, then the caloric surplus is going to have to be smaller. Why? Because the more advanced you get, the harder and harder it gets to build new muscle. So you don't need as many calories to build new muscle. If you have too big of a surplus as an advanced trainee, most of those calories are going to end up as fat, and you don't want that. We're here to get rid of fat and to build new muscle. And the last thing that I want to say is that a lot of people struggle to eat the calories required to build new muscle tissue. And if this happens to you, going for calorie dense foods, meaning foods that are high in calories and low in volume, meaning they're very small and they pack a ton of calories, is a great idea. A lot of those foods can be dates, can be protein bars, can be what else? Rice, it can be quinoa, it can be sugar flakes, it can be cereal, it can be even ice cream, pizza, just things that are very high in calories. Now let's go ahead and talk about the second point, the second most important point, and that is protein intake for vegans. Now protein is very, very important when it comes to muscle building. Your muscles are made out of protein. If you don't consume enough protein, then you're not gonna have the most important raw material needed to build new muscle. So we're gonna nail down the protein intake. And these recommendations are for bodybuilding and physique optimization. If you only care about being healthy, about having good blood work, then you can eat a lot less than this, doesn't really matter. But if you wanna get jacked, if you wanna have muscles, then you're gonna need a higher protein intake. Now, somewhere in between 0.8 to 1.2 grams per pound of body weight is what the literature recommends. So as long as you're somewhere in between that range, it's gonna be more than enough to build new muscle tissue. Leaner individuals, if you're like sub 10% body fat, then I recommend that you go more towards the 1 to 1.2 grams per pound of body weight. And if you're like 12 to 15% body fat, then you can go more towards the 0.8 to 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. Now supplements are gonna help you hit this protein intake. And we're gonna talk about this in the next slide. This can be like the third most important thing, but it's kind of like joined together with calories and protein, is supplement intake. Given that we have to consume that much protein, 0.8 to 1.2, a lot of vegans struggle to hit this number. They don't know what to eat. And there's not that many lean protein vegan sources. So a very simple way to hit your protein is to include a smoothie once or twice a day. And you can select rice protein, pea protein isolate, or soy protein isolate, or a blend. You have a smoothie, you can select 2 protein powders twice a day. And a smoothie can have somewhere between 1 to 2 scoops of protein of the servings, and each serving probably has 25 to 30 grams of protein. So right there you can add anywhere from 50 to an extra 100 grams of protein a day with 2 smoothies. You can have 1 or 2, it doesn't really matter. But having the protein supplement is really gonna help you hit that protein intake. It doesn't necessarily have to be in a smoothie. I have 1 smoothie, and I also have protein waffles in the evening. So up to you how to use the protein powder, but I highly recommend that you include a protein powder in your daily diet. Now, I also recommend that you consume essential amino acids, just because some of the vegan protein sources are not complete, meaning that they don't have all the essential amino acids. So 1 serving of those once or twice a day is gonna help you close that gap. Creatine monohydrate, very important, great supplement, one of the most researched supplements in the world. Somewhere between 5 to 10 grams of creatine every single day is gonna be great for you. It's gonna help you build new muscle. It's gonna help you increase performance in the gym. Doesn't really matter when you take it. You can take it in the morning, in the evening, in the middle of the day, pre, post workout, whatever. The most important thing is that you actually take it every single day. So what I suggest is that you pick a time and a meal that you're gonna take it with, and you stick to that every single day so that you make it a habit. Because people tend to forget to take the creatine, and if you forget to take it, then it's not gonna do anything. You gotta take it every single day for this to work. And there's some health supplements that we gotta take as vegans. I'm not gonna get into that, but there's a link in the description that tells you about all the supplements that you gotta take to be healthy. And I also added some recommendations of multivitamins, especially for vegans, that pack everything that we need to stay healthy. Now, let's talk about training. Training is gonna be very important. If you wanna get jacked, you gotta be lifting weights. You're not gonna be getting jacked by just doing the nutrition. You gotta actually lift. You gotta put those calories to work in the gym. The biggest mistake that I see every day in the gym is that people don't have properly planned training. They're just kind of going to the gym, they decide what they feel like doing, and they just kind of do whatever they want every single day without no structure and without any type of tracking, right? And that really doesn't work. And if you come back a year later, the same people look exactly the same year after year after year. And they're investing all this time and not getting results. So you need planned training. And one of the characteristics of proper training is progressive overload. That means that your training has to get harder and harder over time. And you gotta be getting stronger and stronger over time. If today you're lifting 225 on the bench and next year you're lifting 225 on the bench and doing the same reps, then no new muscle is gonna be added. You actually gotta increase the stimulus, make it harder so that your body builds new muscle to be able to keep sustaining that increased stimulus. So the only way you'll know if your training is getting harder and if you're actually making progress is by tracking. So I highly recommend that you track your training, you track your lifts, and you know exactly what you're doing week to week, month to month, year to year, and that's the only way you'll know if you're getting stronger. So once you make sure that you're making progress, you also want to make sure that you're doing the right amount of volume, meaning that you're doing the right amount of sets you need to do every single week per muscle group to make progress, to promote hypertrophy. And that's going to be somewhere in between 10 to 20 sets per body part per week. Now, you don't want to pick 20 and then do 20 sets for everything on week 1 because you're probably going to get burnt out and die. So what you want to do is start with 10 per body part per week and slowly increase every single week a little bit more. You do a little bit more until you get to like 20 sets per body part per week. And then once you get to that, that'll be like the last week of your mesocycle. You're gonna be very fatigued. It's usually gonna take you somewhere between 4 to 6 weeks. You get to the 5th or 6th week, you're doing 20 sets per body part per week. And then after that, you take a deload and then you repeat again. So that's a basic structure of how you can program a couple mesocycles. The last thing I want to say about training is that you always want to have great technique. Building muscle is about stimulating the right muscle group with the right movement. If you're adding weight to the bar and you're doing some weird shit in the gym, you're doing weird technique just to move more weight, you're not going to gain muscle. You're not going to build new muscle because you want to stimulate the muscle that you're trying to stimulate with that exercise. If you want to do pull downs and you start swinging like a crazy animal, then you're not going to be building your back. You're going to be using everything else but your back just to get the weight from here to here. And it's not about that. It's about stimulating the muscles you want to stimulate. So proper technique all the time. Leave your ego outside. Doesn't really matter. Doesn't matter how much weight you're using. What matters is that you're getting stronger and that you're getting the stimulus you need to get to grow muscle. Now, those are the most important things when it comes to building muscle. Aside from that, we also got to make sure that you're recovering, that you're handling stress, and that you're sleeping. Sleeping is going to be very important. So recovery is key, okay? If you want to be training over a long period of time, you want to make sure that you're recovering. If you don't recover, you get injured, you get overtrained, you're not going to be able to train over a long period of time. The best way to make sure that you're recovering is by training enough. Meaning, if you train way too much, if you overtrain, if you do 100 sets per body part per week, there's nothing you can do. There's no strategy, no hack, nothing you can do to recover. So the first step in handling your recovery is to make sure that you're not doing way too much. So setting a volume that you can actually recover from is the first step when it comes to recovery. Sounds kind of simple, but most people overlook this and they go and do a lot of crazy stuff in the gym. The second thing is to be in a caloric surplus. The environment in your body when you're in a caloric surplus is going to promote recovery because you're going to have more calories coming in than the ones you need, and your body's going to use those calories to repair tissue, and that's going to help promote recovery. Another thing that's important is to avoid stress. I know it's easier said than done, but you know, the less stress you are in life, the better it's going to be, and it's also going to help you with your body composition. Stress tends to promote catabolic hormones. It tends to make you retain water. It tends to affect sleep. It tends to affect appetite. So, in general, if you can avoid stress, then that's going to be the best. And lastly, prioritize good sleeping habits. Sleep is going to be key to build muscle. You want to sleep somewhere in between 7 to 9 hours per night. And a couple tips to make sure that you're setting the right environment to promote sleep is to set a schedule. So make sure you're going to bed and waking up at very similar times every single day. Also have a very comfortable bed and a very comfortable pillow. Sometimes they're a little bit pricey, but it's going to be worth the investment. Having good sleep is going to affect every single area of your life, from muscle building all the way to what you do in work, how you perform, your relationships, how good you feel. So investing in a good bed and a good pillow is, I think it's worth it. And lastly, make sure you're in a cool, quiet, and dark room. Sounds very intuitive, but a lot of people overlook this, and these are the simple things that you actually can do to promote good sleeping environments. And the last thing I want to talk about is about consistency and expectations. You cannot expect that you're going to look like a Mr. Olympia after a few months of training. Those guys are genetically gifted, they've been training for years, and they're on a lot of substances. So don't expect to look like a Mr. Olympia in a couple months. It's not going to happen. So 5 pounds of muscle gained within a few months, if you're a beginner, that's going to make a huge difference in the way you look. Okay, so do not expect a crazy transformation within a couple months, because that's not going to happen. Set the right expectations. Aim to get stronger. Aim to follow the process. Aim to get really good at the process. Aim to actually train properly. Aim to actually dial in your nutrition. And when you focus on the process, then the gains will come automatically. If you're getting stronger in the gym, the gains will come. If you're eating properly, the gains will come. So instead of focusing too much on the outcome, focus on actually mastering the process, because the process is going to lead you to the best possible outcome. That's all I got for you all today. Like I said, underneath you'll find a couple links. One link is going to take you to the calorie calculator. It's going to help you figure out how many calories you need. Also, there's a link that's going to take you to a page that tells you more about our coaching program. We help people actually do this. We plan everything for you. So if you need some help with setting your nutrition, your training, you're like, that was great, Julian, but that sounds like a lot of work, then we can help you with that. All you got to do is click on that link, book a free consultation call with me or my team, and we'll see if and how we can help you get more jacked as a vegan. We can save some animals together, and we can show the world what we can do as a vegan. If you enjoyed the video, give me a like, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.